I can't think of a tagline like other video essayists for this game, and that's a good thing. Some things are about change, some are about pain, some are even about something simple like family issues. Life is Strange is a lot of things, and it doesn't condense its storytelling into one set ideal. Of course, by nature this means that none of its topics that it tackles are done in depth, but there is something else that comes from this. It allows for the story to show how different themes and ideals exist with one another. When someone talks about a story, some questions that come up are, what's the theme? What is the story trying to say? What genres does it fit under? These kinds of questions are not wrong to ask, but there is an assumption that's commonly made when it comes to how you expect these questions to be answered. You're looking for the answer. You're looking for a primary focus. You're looking for a clear objective. I'm guilty of this mindset in many ways as well. It's important to understand that good stories don't need to just be something. That could be many things, and when you wrap all of its aspects together, it creates something memorable. Pulling off this type of storytelling is in no way easy, nor is it standard, but it can be done well. The point of story-driven games like this is just that, to put the story at the forefront. The gameplay is just enough that it can service the story trying to be told. Similar to the visual novel genre that focuses on text, voice acting, and art pieces rather than any meaningful gameplay, this game wants you to focus on the story. Could the gameplay be better? Yes, it could, and in many ways I wish it was. But let's dive into what Life is Strange can tell us about the art of video game storytelling. Moving back to her hometown, reconnecting with her childhood friend that she abandoned, and discovering the secret to Rachel's disappearance are all compelling plot lines that you're thrown into at the beginning of the game as Max. Choice games generally have an issue with having weaker stories the more choice they give to the player. The main reason is that to allow for the story to be manipulated at several points by your choices, it has to either be a shallow enough story or all of the choices have to be irrelevant to the final outcome. Over time, these issues have become less and less, but it's still there. But Life is Strange has an interesting approach on combating this issue. Overall, the story will go in a certain direction, but your choices can make certain encounters more interesting, not necessarily pertaining to the overall plot. The greatest parts about this game's writing is the chemistry between the different characters and understanding their personalities. When Max is just hanging out in Chloe's room, it's just enjoyable being involved in their conversation while they just hang out. It's a weird phenomenon that some of the strongest aspects of this game are the ones that aren't significant to the overall plot. This game really shows what it looks like to improve on a story's low points. Of course, if you're someone who is all about action and the like, then you might still think this game is full of weak points. But even without any hardcore action, this game has engaging moments in the simplest times, like when you're trying to get into a drug seller's RV or just talking to Kate Marsh. Of course, this story does have its intense moments, like with Kate trying to end her own life, but the mark of a good story can easily be how much of its quality, not how high the highs are. Life is Strange deals with a lot of topics, but one of them is darkness. More specifically, the darkness of people and how nobody can really fit into the good category. There are people who mean well, there are even those who do good for others, but they're still not saints. This idea is perfectly placed in a game about making choices, since you yourself as a player has to deal with this fact whether the game addresses it or not. You can make the wrong choice and it can take its toll, which is exactly what the other characters in the story feel. What I mean by darkness, by the way, is not necessarily evil, but encompassing harming others, indulging in oneself at the cost of others. All these types of things factor in. This theme takes many forms in the story, whether it's David and his horrible mistreatment of others, or on the furthest side, Mark Jefferson with all the things he's done. Life is Strange does something fascinating with its use of music. The vast majority of the time, there's either no music at all, or the music is tuned way down in favor of the scene itself. The only exception are scenes that are dedicated to the music only. The first time playing through this game, these scenes just felt like needless padding that made me wait even longer to continue through the story. But on subsequent playthroughs, where I wasn't in any rush to see where the story was going, I appreciated these scenes more. The song choices are almost all the kind that can backdrop your own thinking. They're done in moments of either calm or stillness in the world, riding in a car, relaxing on a bed, for example. You're doing the same thing that Max and the characters want to do, or in many cases need to do. Relax, and think. The music here isn't meant to make you feel sad, upbeat, or even thoughtful. The music simply serves as enjoyable white noise for you as you just relax. They can play into the scene, like from what happened before this section, but that's not as important to this idea I'm talking about here. Every time one of these parts came up, I just let them play a while and relaxed with the characters. I put my phone down, turned the volume up, and I chilled out. Some parts are made to be a certain length, but others you can choose to do or not. They can loop for as long as you like, so you can just chill out for however you feel. Video games as a medium can do this type of thing very well. Aspects to your story that are drawn out and relaxing. If a movie did something like this, we would think it's wasting our time. We aren't here to see the characters relax and do nothing, we're here to see how the movie ends. But in a game, you're deciding the pace, and these moments are perfect encapsulations of that feeling. Endings are important, and as such, I won't make this video much longer than it needs to be, but I want to end this off by talking about how this story decides to end. It's left wide open regardless of whether you choose to save Arcadia Bay or Chloe, and that's not a bad thing. The story doesn't deal with just a couple events in Max and Chloe's lives, but their lives as a whole. Video games as a medium have one big advantage when it comes to endings, in that it doesn't have to be the end. The creators can put more things into the story to help you relive their game in a new way, and Life is Strange really does this perfectly. The different story options add possible depth to the many different characters in the story if you choose to do it. Life is Strange unironically is pushing the message that our life is strange, and it helps us recognize this fact. And this was the art of video game storytelling. Until next time.